So hi, welcome to part 3 of my Introduction to Therapeutic Alliance. If you remember way back in part 1, I did talk about how this is actually the foundation of Therapeutic Alliance, of the work we do. It's one of the most important things, that we look after ourselves, that we look after each other, that we learn how to be our best, how to work in an effortless way. Right back in the beginning of my career, I didn't. It was always put the clients first, do that. I could go home exhausted, take stuff home. Didn't matter. It was all about them. I really wish someone had stopped and made me realise, because now I look after myself better and I've done quite a lot of work on myself. The work's so much easier and I'm so much more effective and the clients benefit. I really hope, especially with working with trauma, our jobs are difficult enough and we matter just as much as the clients. So I really hope that you will get something from this and it might make you think a little bit. So let me get my lovely slides up. So there we've got another quick quote. Our jobs are difficult. There's a thing about boundaries that I'm going to do a training on boundaries, but I think sometimes, the people who say it doesn't affect them concern me. The people that it affects too much concern me. Both sides need help and both sides are not in balance and not at their best. It is going to affect us. This job cannot affect you, but it's about what you do with it. So, to begin with, let's be honest. When you saw a talk on self-care, did you want to skip this? Did you think it's all going to be about take a break, have a nice hot bath, get enough sleep? Because it's not. But have a think about it. When you think about self-care, what comes up for you? What beliefs do you have around it? And what percentage of your time do you spend on self-care in work? I'm not talking about outside work. I used to go home exhausted, look after myself. And I realised that actually we should be doing this in work. It should be part of our job. Even though we are really busy, it should be still part of our job. And are you encouraged to do that? Honestly, have a think about it. And as I say, it's not just about taking breaks and being healthy. So again, you remember right in the beginning, Therapeutic Alliance, it's about who we are, not what we do. So here's a nice quote from Danielle Laporte that sort of emphasizes that. It's easier to empathize even, if we feel safe in our own beings and body. Empathy is an extension of oneself, and you can't extend from hollowness and disconnection. Deep empathy won't happen if you don't have a healthy sense of who you truly are. And if we're hesitant to change, we're going to shut down to feeling, to empathizing with each other. We start denying someone else's experience, so we don't need to change our own ways of seeing and being. The more, and I'm not going to get deeply into it, but if you start looking, and listening to some of the top people in this field, some of the experts, some people who do amazing work, and not just in this, in other areas of life as well. And one of the common themes that comes up is the more work you do on yourself, the more healing you do for yourself, the more capacity you have to help others and the more help you are. And I personally, I feel a bit of a hypocrite if I'm asking people to change and do work on themselves, but I'm not prepared to do it myself. An important thing is this empathizing. I keep saying emphasizing. Empathizing. It's important to be able to understand and connect. We need that to connect. And the more work we do on ourselves, we've talked about there are going to be people you find difficult. We need to be looking at how we can connect with them and how we can see things differently. And if we're not willing to at least go, well, actually, where am I wrong? Where do I need to change? Where do I need to look at my beliefs rather than assuming it's all them? Not everybody's going to want to do that. It's up to you how you want to be as a worker. For me personally, this is important stuff. And follows on to this about what we can learn from others. Now, I remember watching the Olympics in whatever year it was it in London, and them interviewing people and people going, all the sacrifices they've made, all the things that they've learned, all the different coaches that they've got, and the nutritionalists and the physios and all that kind of thing to help them be their best. And I just sat and thought, but this job is my passion. This job is the equivalent of an Olympics for me. I want to be the best I can be. I want to keep pushing myself. I want to learn to do better. should we be approaching it in the same way as athletes? You know, so the sort of skills, it's not just about running, or at Wimbledon, it's not just about playing tennis, it's about reflecting and learning how to continually improve, being open to better, asking for other people, how can I do this? How can I tweak this? If I find this natural style that works better than that style, if I do this, is it going to help? Is it not? Continually looking to improve. Understanding about recovery and energy management, which is self-care. They do not wait until they're depleted. If you've got a competition and you've got loads of races, you need to know how to recover quickly. About being in the flow and how their mental and emotional state influence their performance. So they'll have sports psychologists, they'll have, you know, they really look after themselves to be their best. And for me, you know, as I said, if our work's our passion, are we investing in the same way? Now, I'm not saying that, you know, you need to go away to a boot camp and avoid people and avoid life, but there's got to be a middle ground. Some of this is going to help. And I've also put, are we being invested in the same way? You know, companies are paying our wages. Are they helping us bring our sort of A game, our best to our work? It's just an idea to think about. You know, I'm continually looking at ways that I can improve, and I look at people outside of this field to see how anybody is their best. So my definition: how we stay or return to the most efficient and effective way to be our natural best for ourselves and our clients. When we're our natural best, so this is not about working harder, it's about doing what's right for us and being ourselves. When we're at that, we're less likely to burn out, we're going to enjoy it more, and the clients are going to benefit. So it's about, do we know what our natural best is? Do we know when we're wobbling off balance? And do we know how to get back? And that's what we're going to have a little look at. So, signs of being your best: it feels good and effortless. You're present, you've got a quiet mind, and you're grounded. You know, when you're absorbed in something and it just flows. That's how we want to be as much as we can. And I've put there flow. It's about working in a way that's right for you, using your unique skills and talents in a way that helps you with this job. And that's about being creative with it. It's not about a factory line and following what everybody else does, because that might cause you a lot of stress if it doesn't suit you. It is about being self-aware. You need to know when you're wobbling and how to get back on track. You need to know when things are coming up, when you need a break, when you don't. To get you in a state of creativity, curiosity, compassion. You know, you focus on that more than anything else. Answers, we talked about recall, answers come up quite quickly. You're more flexible when you're in that flow. You go with what happens. You know, you're not quite rigid and I've got to get this right. Lots of other things that are quite personal to you. It's about learning, and we've got a nice practical exercise on that. What causes us to be off balance? Stress, pressure, can be external and internal. We talked about our own stuff that gets in the way in the first section. It's about looking at that. You know, external events, it's how we respond to it. Looking at that. That doesn't mean to say that the environment doesn't need to change. It's about how safe and supported we are. And again, that quote that I had earlier, if our environment makes us feel safe, that spills over into our work with clients. It makes us feel better, it makes us work better, and it benefits the clients. So it's getting the balance right. But at the end of the day, the only people we have control over is us. So why? You can see everything there. It strengthens our capacity to support others. The more we look after ourselves, the more we've got to give. Because we matter too, and our job can be tough. I've said that, say that again. We deserve to feel good at the end of the day. You know, this is not about, oh, isn't it good? We're exhausted. We've worked so hard. It's about being better than that. Our clients bring a lot of suffering. We've got to know how to deal with that and not let it bring us down. We've got issues. You know, we're going to be triggered. We're human beings. We need to practice what we preach. If we don't feel safe and balanced, we can't pass it on. We talked about that a bit with trauma. Work-life balance. I remember someone saying, you know, are your family and friends, is everything outside of work getting the best of you, or what's left after work? Because it shouldn't be like that. You're less likely to get ill if you're looking after yourself, physically and mentally. Helps us remember our why and our passion, which, you know, can keep us motivated. We do our best work when we're at our best. It makes our job easier. And, you know, our whole industry has a lot of pressures. As I say, we're going to be realistic about this, but really, there's no downside to looking after yourself. And the benefit for the clients, they deserve the best help they can get. You know, it's not their fault if we're run down or busy or they irritate us. We need to deal with that. We need to be looking after ourselves and doing that. Evidence-based. We've talked about, this is all about relationship and a safe connection. How can we do that if we're exhausted, if we're stressed, if we're not at our best? How can we do it? Our clients respond to our emotions. So again, if you're pissed off about something, that is going to get in the way of work with clients, because we can all try our best and think we've pushed it to one side. Have we really? It means equal help for every client, not just the ones that we find easy. Put decision fatigue in there. That's an interesting one that they found. If you don't take enough breaks, you actually make less wise decisions the further you go on without a break. And we can all be guilty of missing lunch or not having a proper break. We're actually not working at our best if we do that. If we're stressed, it affects our behaviour. So we talked about survival behaviours. We've talked about, you know, the sort of stances we go into. That going into one of those stances could re-traumatise a client. Now, you know, we need to be looking after ourselves and learning how to keep ourselves calm and at our best. And another study they did showed that just 40 seconds of genuine compassion helps other people relax. So it's about, again, giving our best to our work. Now, having said that, part of giving our best is about knowing that we're not perfect and we're going to screw it up. It's not about being perfect. It's about being open to learn better, noticing when we wobble, reflecting and pulling ourselves back. And we will wobble all the time. Even, I remember reading something that was really helpful, and it was talking, I think it was talking about great spiritual or martial arts masters or something, and saying they all wobble, they all go off balance, they're not perfect all the time. The difference is they catch it quicker and get back quicker. It's about doing that and using those wobbles to learn about ourselves. It's about finding a plan that works for you. We're all different. You have to find what works for you. Knowing that your best differs each day, you know, and that's okay as long as you're giving your best and doing your best. That is enough. The environment matters. We've talked about that. But that can also be, you know, if you're an introvert like me, open plan offices don't bring out the best in me. They can actually hinder me. So it's about, if I'm in an open plan office, what can I do to minimize the impact? Is it wearing headphones? Is it going and having a bit of quiet at lunchtime, finding a room to do some work? It's that sort of thing that, you know, is helping you. And just go, as I say, we're human, we're going to screw up. Be kind and learn. So some ideas that you can ponder on at another time. When are you at natural best? Spot the difference. Just look at a time it went well and a time it didn't. You know, just like we do with relapse prevention. Let's go back. What happened? What were you thinking, feeling? What was happening in the environment? What led to you being in a good place? What led to you not? How can you replicate the stuff that helps you? So it might be, well, actually, if I'm not rushing in the morning, I do a lot better. For me, it's if I take a couple of minutes out and just sort of reset, sit down, a bit of silence, set my intention, get myself calm, the day will go better. Another, spot the difference, first day back after some time off or the day before you leave. You know, there's going to be a difference, of course there is, otherwise you wouldn't need time off. But again, just look at it. What are the characteristics? How are we feeling? Is it we're just trying to get through the day and we've got too much to do, or we're worried about things? Or is it just we come back because we're just chilled out? There's a thing, they did a study, I don't think I've got it on here, about what makes the ideal holiday. And part of it is about switching off completely and doing something we enjoy and that relaxes us. Do we do that in our breaks? Because I know when you've got an open plan office and there's nowhere to really go, are we sitting around talking about work? Are we having that proper break? You can do it just in your mind. Put headphones on, shut your eyes, do something, listen to a bit of music. You've got to have a complete break. How do you want to feel with clients or not feel? Daniel Laporte, that I quoted earlier, does a thing called desire mapping, which is all about working out what are the emotions you want to feel in life, or what are the emotions you want to feel in a session. So for me, I want to be kind, curious, creative, compassionate, all those kind of things. if I'm wobbling or I'm not feeling them, I know to pull myself back. And they're different for different people. Some people it might be feel more confident or quieter or present. It's about finding what's right for you. There are loads of good books out there. You know, Finding Your Values, Finding Your Why, Simon Sinek. Trauma Stewardship is a brilliant book, and it goes into, you know, helping you find your why, helping you find your style. Think about what an ideal day would be like. You know, have you ever, I'm sure you've sat down and thought, if I was in charge, this is how things would be done. Well, think about it. What would your ideal day, if you were left to your own natural devices, how would you manage your day? What would bring out the best in you? Look at personality type. You know, introverts, I'm an introvert. I need quiet to recharge my batteries. Extrovert, need to be around people. Use that. Who do you admire and why? Admire is about to mirror. We admire different people at different times, because if you think about what you admire in them, that's something that you want to focus on or you want to develop. So think about who do you admire and why. And don't just think about a footballer that scores goals, but think about specifically why them, because lots of footballers score goals. So what is it about that? Sleep, food, breaks, we know about that. But also, what stops you being your best? So is it that you get stressed, you know? So something I'm working on at the moment, if I don't feel listened to, if I feel dismissed. So, you know, an example, sent an email about someone and it was about, you know, they were ready to get some help for their mental health. They weren't in chaos, they were stable, everything was good in their life. They weren't in crisis, they were ready to get the help. The email came back, we're not the right service for a client that's in crisis. And I just thought, did you not read my email? You know, that, and so it's about going, right, what has that triggered in me about not being heard or not being listened, people not taking notice, and how can I respond in a better way than just wanting to, I stop myself from replying quite sarcastically, like, read the email again. But it is about that knocked me off balance for a while. So practically, let's have a little look at a bit more practical at how you keep yourself in balance. Dan Siegel does some great work. It's quite technical. He's a neurobiologist, I think it is. So, you know, way above my head, but he does some good stuff. He talks about the window of tolerance. Now, the window of tolerance is that band when you are at your best, and we all wobble in and out of it. So he talks about when people are traumatized, that band's quite narrow, or when people are stressed, it's quite narrow. One of our jobs is to widen our window of tolerance so that we can cope with more before we go into fight, flight, freeze, fawn. So that's what it is. We go up and down. Now, I converted it into this. You'll get a copy in the handout. Just so that I could, you know, I'd sit and I've worked out this for myself. I've gone through it with clients, and you know, put there, it can be a bit like a relapse prevention plan. You can also do it as a team. What are the warning signs we're going off balance? How can the team help you and help you become aware of them? So we've got window of tolerance. What keeps you there? What keeps you healthy? What keeps you in balance? And I'm going to give you some examples from me. And then what triggers you to get stressed, basically, and what are your warning signs and what you can do to get back in balance. So here's some things that from mine, not everything. What keeps me balanced? Well, usual, having a good night's sleep, having proper breaks, starting the day grounded, I talked about that. Regular check-ins with myself, nature and silence, meditation, love meditating, reading, reflecting, writing, relaxation, smells, pictures, self-compassion, learning. You know, I'm an introvert, they're quite introverted things. For you, it might be talking with people, laughing, going to crowded places. You know, it can be lots. It's finding what individually, when I do those things, I've noticed that I have a better day. When I take time for myself, and I know I've taken time for myself and done something nice for myself, I don't feel like everything's about other people. So triggers, you know, things like we talked about in dealing with difficult people, poor me people can trigger me. Rushing, I talked about that. If I'm rushing in the morning, it can put me off balance. People talking loudly on buses. When I started doing this, I was like, oh, there's not much that triggers me anymore. And then I got on a bus and I was just like getting quite wound up that people were talking really loudly. So I've now become aware, and I'm literally like, it's a public place. They're allowed to, and put my headphones on. Warning signs for me, getting a headache, negative thinking, sleep disturbance, getting resentful, all signs I'm off balance, and how you can get back in balance. And again, these are personal. This is something to work on. Silence for me, writing, just ranting on paper and working through it. I've put there RAIN, the Works EFT. They're just so emotional freedom technique. The Works is Byron Katie process. RAIN is a Tara Brach meditation process for when you're feeling negative emotions, how you can work through it and learn from it. Find what works for you. You know, for some people it might be exercise, it might be going for a run. I'm not a great exerciser. If that works for you, if that gets you back in balance, do it. Sometimes going for a walk does do it. But I really recommend, as I say, it works really well with clients. I'll sit down with clients and work this, and you add to it over time. It's about learning what keeps you in balance, noticing when you wobble off balance and how you bring yourself back. And as I say, warning signs. Right, I didn't sleep very well. What do I need to do extra? So hopefully that's given you some ideas. A few more ideas how to reset emotions. Use more than one sense mindfully. So, you know, aromatherapy, smell while you're, you know, touch. I went on, it was more about with children, but they did something like, you know, if you've got like smelly hand cream and then a squeegee ball, or you put it side to side, or you walk about while you're smelling, it's about getting more than one sense interaction. It just helps ground you. Daydream a time you felt calm or a time you felt confident. Your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. Imagine it, it can just have an instant calm. Have a mantra. This is going to be okay. I can handle this. It might be about they're having a bad day. You know, they're not. I think there was a dementia phrase that used to say, they're not giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. And sometimes just reminding you that with clients, they're not deliberate. It's not about you. So I did a retreat with an online retreat with Gabor Mate recently, and one of the things he was talking about when, you know, someone might be quite mean to you, it was somebody who was talking about their mum had been mean to them and stuff like that, and he was saying, who are they actually talking to? You know, when they're saying that you're not listening to them and give them attention, it's not about you, it's about someone in the past. And again, sometimes that helps me to remind myself, actually, they're getting arsey, but it's not really with me. Who's the original person that they wanted to hear them and help them? Not taking it personally. Have a stretch, move around, remember your why. Change your state, so complete relaxation, doing something you choose and love, like I was talking about holidays. Use grounding techniques. I mean, I've put at the bottom, what do we teach clients in how to check their emotions? We need to do the same. Laughter changes state like that. It's brilliant. For me, it's writing. For some people, it's talking. Talking is good as long as you talk to someone that helps you process it. Sometimes it can feel good to go and talk to someone who's going to agree with you and say, yes, you should be annoyed and that person's horrible and almost validate the negative emotions. You want someone to help you process it, to make you feel safe, but help you learn. And how can we support each other as a team? You know, take time out for each other. Watch our warning signs. I used to have a team and we learned all about, we actually used the control dramas stuff, and we learned all about what our warning signs and how we can help each other. And literally my team used to go, you're getting a bit manic, you need to meditate. And I go, okay, I hadn't even noticed I was starting to get a bit manic and talk faster. Off I went and meditated. It works when you've got that good relationship. So self-care, in a bit of a summary again, you'll get this. Just thinking about who are the people and situations that stop you being your best. How can you work on that and make it easier? What are the instant ways to feel better and shed stress? Because sometimes, as I said, we've got to shift gears between clients instantly. What works for you? What's longer term prevention? Or at the end of the day, how I've got a reflection sheet that I've done, and we'll look at that I write on, rant on paper, work my way through it, might be talking to someone. What small step can you introduce to improve self-care? So if I give you an example, I used to always think, you know, the phone went a couple of minutes to 5. I'd be like, oh, better answer it. It might be an emergency. It never was. And like 5:15, the client's still talking and I'm just getting quite resentful. So what I realised was I stopped answering the phone 10 to 5. Quite literally. I mean, fortunately, I've got a mobile. They leave a message. I'll listen to the message. If it's urgent, I'll deal with it. If it's not, it can wait till tomorrow. I left the day on time feeling good, because the times when there was an emergency that had to be dealt with that night were quite slim. It made that small step made a huge difference. And as I say, for me, there's a lot. So again, going back to, we talked about trauma-informed care, there's a lot about reflecting as a team, having that space to stop and talk about how we're doing, how can we support each other, how can we learn. I've got a sheet that I fill in. I'll quite literally sit and rant and just reflect back. How balanced was I during the day? You know, what's good and bad, basically. The times I was balanced, the times I wobbled, what did I do? Did I pick up on it? When I was with clients, did I build trust? So maybe after a client, it was quite difficult, just think, what was the trust like? Did I make them feel safe? Or could I have made them feel unsafe? And I love that what didn't work, what did work. So just reflecting the day, what didn't I like? What made me feel yak? What actually worked? And then what did work can be, it doesn't have to be stuff in work, it can be anything. So something nice happened, or you've got something to look forward to that just lifts you and ends you on a good note. It works for me, try it, it might work for you. So summary, have a plan, emergency and maintenance. Emergency is you've got 2 minutes to the next client, you need to do something. Maintenance, longer term. Regular check-ins with yourself during the day, reflect on how you can improve. Know what your best is and what it takes to get there. Be kind and be human to yourself. We know that thing, treat yourself as well as you treat others. Do we do that? So all the stuff I said about how to make clients feel safe, do we do that to ourselves? How do we put ourselves at ease? How do we, there's a lovely self-compassion phrase that I use quite a lot, and it just says, you know, just stopping and going, actually, this is really difficult. How can I make it easier? Instead of, this is really difficult. What am I going to do? How am I going to get through it? It's that, right, how am I going to make this easier? How am I going to help myself? Little things like that. And get support. If you can get support in work, brilliant. If you have to go outside work and it can just improve your life in every area, as we've looked at, we're dealing with difficult people, it affects your whole life, do it. It might be a book, a workbook, a program, therapy, supervision, support group, anything, just do it. So again, just a reminder, a person's ability to change depends on the quality of the relationship with us, and the quality of the relationship with us depends on who we are, not what we do. And we've looked at all those qualities. I'm not going to go through them again. Are we someone who's safe and trustworthy? And I've just put this in here because it's just a lovely quote to end on. And just to remind yourself, they are survivors. If you don't have respect for their strength, you can't be of any help. It's a privilege that they let you in. There's no reason they should trust you, none. That they're in your office is in itself a supreme act of valor. Clients would not come to see us if they didn't need help. They just don't know how to say it in a way that you understand sometimes. Or, you know, they act like they don't care, but they do, otherwise they wouldn't be there. And sometimes, you know, I talked about being realistic. We're under pressure. We've got targets. We've got too many clients. We've got too many complex clients. When that happens, self-care is more important, not less. And it's not about, right, I'm going to take half a day out a day to mess around and do what I want. It's got to be focused. It's got to be proactive. It's got to be, actually, I need to take 5 minutes out every hour. I need to take 10 minutes out in the morning, halfway through, you know, like they do at school, and have a little break. I need to do something to keep my energy up, to keep my recovery focused because of all the pressures. I need to be mentally in a good place so that if I have to sit and prioritize whose needs are going to get met today and whose are not, we've looked at trauma and dealing with difficult situations. How do I justify that? How am I going to tell clients that actually I can't do everything that you've asked? I just do not have time. How do we do that in a way that doesn't leave them feeling like they're not cared about, but also doesn't leave us feeling guilty or us running ourselves into the ground? It's an ongoing thing, and we need to help each other with it. And we need to find a way. And that's, again, why, for me, Therapeutic Alliance, all the stuff we talked about, we need to be learning. because it makes us more efficient, it makes it more effective, it makes it easier, and it means that we've got more energy, and when we've got more things to do, we manage it better without running ourselves into the ground. Now, I really hope that there's been something of interest in that it's maybe made you think in a little bit away, maybe it's irritated the hell out of you and you thought it not realistic. Great, whatever's right for you. If there's something that helps you, brilliant. I'm really pleased. In the handout, there'll be my contact details. I send out sort of not newsletters, but things to learn, books to read, new things that are coming out. Sometimes there are free conferences online or free showings of things around trauma or looking after yourself, self-care. If you want to be included, drop me an email and I will gladly add it. If you want to ask me any questions, give me any dilemmas, again, drop me a line. And thank you for listening. There's your resources. As I say, you're going to get a copy of that. Gabor Mate, Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, Bruce Perry, Bessel van der Kolk, Peter Levine, Brené Brown. In the UK, we've got quite a few good people, Trauma Stewardship, and a couple of websites to look at, things that have helped me. There's so much out there, and I really hope you find what works best for you. Thank you. And I need to stop the share. This is that awkward bit, isn't it, between clicking. Oh, go away.